Hello everyone, very good afternoon and welcome back to CGB Mentors. So let us start today's news analysis that is for 27th June, right? We have certain news articles today and it is majorly we are talking about the FTAs and the other things. So we'll be focusing on that in this particular session. Number one news item that we have, there was some market related news also, right? Market is going for a 9-month high, right? And there are various factors for it, but I have discussed those factors ample amount of times in our previous lecture, so that is why I'm not covering that again, right? First of all, we'll start with the Aditya Birla Capital app hacked. If you will see over here, there was an app of Aditya Birla Group, ABCD digital app, right? And it has experienced the cyber attack. An unidentified hacker has breached the app and sold the digital gold worth nearly 2 crores from the accounts of 435 customers, right? So wherever you are talking about the financial inclusion or you are talking about the digital India, you also have to see the risk of cyber attack, right? If I will tell you, in the Global Cybersecurity Index, India has achieved a very significant achievement, right? It's the top tier country in the Global Cybersecurity Index. But the problem over here is the app hacking or these ransomware attack or phishing attack, right? These kind of things, they keep on happening. And that is why if you will see, there was recently we have covered a circular also. There was a SEBI circular which talks about that how the market infrastructure institutions and the intermediaries who are associated with the stock market, they should develop their cyber security infrastructure, right? It should be centralized one. If it cannot be a centralized one, they can even outsource it with the quality norms, right? So that is why this news is important in the context of digital India or also in the context of financial inclusion. Quickly moving forward to our next news item, that is under PM crop cover scheme, private insurers enjoy better profitability. So whenever we are talking about the agriculture and the climate change, जब भी हम एग्रीकल्चर या क्लाइमेट चेंज के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं, one thing that we have to notice is that now the agri crops or the crops, they are at a risk of destruction because there are hailstorms, right? Pre-monsoon showers. Okay, these have increased. Apart from that, there are areas, for example, eastern UP and Bihar, they face yearly floods also during the time of monsoon. So this leads us for a crop insurance scheme for the agriculture sector. We have the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana for that, okay? But over here, they want to tell you that private insurers, they are making more surplus. And there is one more thing that has been mentioned in this article, that private insurers are not giving that much, what you can say, cover to the crop holders or the farmers, right? So over here, private insurers are exhibiting lower claims paid to premium ratio. Now that means premium तो ज़्यादा ले लेते हैं पर claim वो इतने ज़्यादा नहीं दे रहे हैं. That is why it is indicating higher surplus retention. Now only this fact is important for you over here, right? कितना एवरेज प्रीमियम पेड है कितना नहीं है, दिस इज समथिंग व्हिच इज नॉट important, but this data is disclosed in the Lok Sabha in the April 2025. So this is also the reason why the public sector has to come forward, right? Public sector insurers, they have to come forward in providing these kind of insurances because this is very, very important for our economy. Moving forward to our next news article that talks about the India-ASEAN FTA free trade agreement. It will be completed as soon as possible. The Ministry of External Affairs is talking about it. Now, there has been a free trade, goods trade agreement between the ASEAN and India, but India was not at ease with that, right? See, so our Commerce Minister pointed out that 15 years ago, when the trade pact with the ASEAN was signed, India was more focused on doing FTAs with the country who were competitors. Now, over here, India has experienced major trade deficit with the ASEAN, right? And that is why it decided that we have to come up with an FTA which has the more equitable clauses for both of us, right? So the pact resulted in widening of trade deficit between India and the bloc. India's trade deficit with the ASEAN was at $45 billion in financial year 25. ठीक है, $45 billion का तो हमारा ट्रेड डेफिसिट था आसियान के साथ में. So that is why ASEAN agreed for the review of this particular trade agreement, and negotiations started in 2023. Now in this article, only the two facts that the review will be completed as soon as possible, and why the review was needed, because there was a trade deficit. So whenever you are writing any kind of answer, one of the major problem with India is that we have not been able to utilize our FTAs. अगर आप देखेंगे, so we have been able to utilize our FTAs for our own benefit, leading to just 5 to 25% of usage, and that is very what you can say clear when we talk about our trade with the ASEAN. ठीक है, $45 billion का trade deficit, it's so huge. So it was very important to review this FTA, and it is good that we have been able to complete it. Moving forward and talking about the new next FTA news that talks about India-New Zealand FTA, there has been some irritants in the relationship of India and New Zealand, right? What those irritants are, major irritants are related to the dairy sector, and apart from that, your agriculture sector, because New Zealand excels in dairy sector and India cannot allow such a what you can say open trade for the New Zealand in these two sectors specifically. So that is why this FTA negotiations are going on. Okay, government is consulting the relevant industries on the list of items that the New Zealand has sought the duty cuts on. जिन आइटम्स पे न्यूजीलैंड ने अपने ड्यूटी कट्स डिमांड किए हैं, वहां पे हम इसको नेगोशिएट करने का ट्राई कर रहे हैं. इंडिया एंड न्यूजीलैंड हैज सस्पेंडेड नेगोशिएशंस in 2015 after 5 years of talk. Since dairy is the top export item for the New Zealand, that is why the talk did not proceed further. So that also tells you, see, right now we have also done an agreement, economic cooperation agreement with Australia, and Australia has got a lot of concessions for the fruits, vegetables, meats and nuts in the trade pact. So that is why New Zealand is also thinking कि जब Australia को मिल सकता है तो हमें क्यों नहीं मिल सकता. So why this article is important, because you have to see that what are the factors that get what are the what you can say sectors that get impacted because of the FTAs that the Indian government enters into, and the dairy is the topmost one over here. So remember that. Moving forward to our next article, this article I have discussed in our previous scenarios also, like the Kraljic matrix. If you remember, we have discussed this in one of our articles. So this article tells you that the stockpiling of the critical minerals is must. Right now you will see that there has been export ban by the China on the rare earth elements, okay? And this is very important for our automobile sector. So that is why, like they see, recent export restrictions are there on the China, like the gallium, germanium, rare earth elements that has exposed supply chain fragilities. US now in this particular article, what is very important for us is, number one, our goal is to move towards net zero by 2070, and that is why we need the critical elements, because without that, the battery infrastructure is not possible, right? Transitioning to renewable energy is not possible. Now, if in the similar domain, if you would like to see, there has been various kind of efforts that the various national governments has taken. Now, let's have a look onto it, and this is very important part of this article. So, US has established institutional stockpiling program, national defense stockpiling. ये US का तरीका है इस चीज से डील करने का. ऑस्ट्रेलिया ने भी मार्केट स्टेबलाइजिंग अप्रोचेस यूज किए हैं, लाइक $1.2 billion का क्रिटिकल मिनरल stockpile plan they have launched. The government acts as a guaranteed buyer for the domestic mining and reduces the investors' risk. Now, France and Germany, they are also exploring the country-specific reserves, and in Asia and Japan, through its oil, gas and the metal national corporation, they have also tried to secure their mineral energy supply, right? So that is why all the countries are trying their best to move beyond it, because this is the China's move, how they can, what you can say, create problems in the supply chains, and going forward, we have to move beyond that, okay? So now what has been the suggestion that has been given कि हमें एक national stockpiling alliance बनाना चाहिए, where we can coordinate with the like-minded nations, right? Where we can do the long-term agreements with them, and we can pursue the strategic partnership with the US, Japan. We already have a quad structure, right? Quadrilateral security dialogue, so we can use that for our own benefit. This is it in this particular session. Thank you so much for joining in, and I'll see you tomorrow.